I just want to explain to the church that Gail and the Sunday school teachers and volunteers have created a survey for our Sunday school for each child to give some of their likes and their dislikes and just to learn a little more about each person so that we can better serve the needs of our particular group of kids here. Because you guys are a special group, aren't you? And there's no other group of Sunday school kids like you, and there's no other individuals like each one of you. And one of the things we're learning from this survey is that maybe it would be nice if you would hear some more cool stories about people in the Bible that you would like. So I want to tell you a cool story in the Bible about a boy who's 7 years old, and his name is Samuel. Have you ever heard of Samuel? Yeah. Some of you have heard of Samuel. So Samuel's mommy had trouble having a baby, and her name was Hannah, and she really wanted a baby, and she especially wanted a son, because back then it was really important for ladies to have sons for their husbands. And so she prayed. She went to a temple because it was they were Jewish. This was before Jesus, a long time before Jesus. And she went to the temple and she prayed. And the priest saw her praying. And back then, people didn't. When they prayed, they didn't talk out loud. And so he thought Hannah was like some kind of a nut bar that she was in. She was saying weird stuff in the temple, and she explained that she was praying, and that's why her lips were moving. Is that she was the words of her prayer that she wanted a baby so bad, and he said, well, God. He didn't even ask her what her prayer was. He said, God will grant you your prayer. May God grant your prayer. And so she did have a baby. And part of her prayer was, if I have a baby, I'm going to dedicate my baby to serving God when the baby gets old enough. And that baby was a boy, and she called him Samuel. And when Samuel was just 7 years old, Samuel went to live with a priest named Eli at the temple. And Eli was a nice man. He was a father himself. He had his own kids, and so he was like a second dad to Samuel, and he was very good with him, and Samuel loved Eli. And then one night, Samuel was asleep, and he heard a voice. And do you know what the voice said to Samuel? What? It said, Samuel. And he was like, so he thought it was Eli calling him. So he got up and he went and he said, why did you call me? And Eli said, I didn't call you. And so Samuel went back to bed and he heard the voice again, Samuel. And he was like, he came back to Eli and he's like, why do you call me? He's like, Eli said, look, Samuel, I think maybe this is God calling me. So the next time he would say, here I am, Lord. Speak, for your servant is listening. So that's what happened. God called Samuel again. Samuel said, here I am. And Samuel became a great prophet. And he grew up to be a man. And he did great things. So that's one cool person in the Bible. Isn't that cool? He was 7 years old and God called him. And you know how old I was when I felt God calling me to be a minister? 7 years old. So you guys sitting here, if you have a feeling like God has a special job for you or God wants you to serve God, and some of you maybe, you could, no matter how old or how young you are, and some of you guys out there, if God's calling you, God's calling you. And so, you know what you should say? We just learned it. Here I am, that's right. All right, so now you guys can... Do you want them to stay for the song or...